you got home and
I got home. My mom and dad. I got home, and my mom and dad. The first thing they asked me was, I came in, and they're like, "Hey, come here," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Where are your drums?" And I was like, "Oh, like in the moment when you're gonna lie, you go, huh? Like what?"
yeah, you're trying to think, you're thinking of what
Yeah,
you're gonna say.
yeah. I'm trying to think what I'm gonna say, and yeah, dude, I was busted red-handed. They were upset. My mom and dad were more my dad because this is when things. This is how my dad started kind of changing towards the situation. My dad was upset because my dad felt that there's no future in music because when my mom got pregnant with me, my dad got off the road and started working a 9 to 5 job and just playing locally, there in Seguin, because he was traveling with bands before I was born. But when I got born, my mom never didn't give him that choice. He made the choice on his own that I'm not going to be on the road no more. I'm going to be local and just get a job that way I can take care of my son or whatever or my family. So he felt that music wasn't going to take me anywhere. You know what I mean? My mom, however, my mom, she supported me, man. Like, the madre, bro. Like, the madre, because now that I'm with Excelencia, and at the time, Excelencia was popular, bro. So sometimes we would play Wednesday through Sunday. And then the thing is that I was still in school. So the guys would go pick me up Wednesday after school, y roncamos para el show. And then after the show, we would drive back to Seguin. They would rent a room to sleep, and I would go to school Thursday. And then Thursday after school, they would pick me up, and we would go to the Thursday show, drive back home. But sometimes, a lot of times on Fridays, and a lot of times on Mondays, I wouldn't make it to school. So by the time you knew it, it just started adding up, and adding up. By the time I missed all these fucking days of school, my mom and dad got letters from the truant officers. Like, it became a shit show. So then my mom and dad they almost got slapped with this lawsuit. Not a lawsuit, but
Yeah, they were getting in trouble because
they got threatened because I missed so many days of school. So the fact that my mom, basically, she was the one that had my back. So she was trying to fight for, well, how can we do it to where everybody's happy, where Joey gets his education, but he can still tour. And my counselor basically said, well, maybe he should get homeschooled. So my mom and dad started looking into homeschooling, like that day, and I ended up enrolling in a Christian. I think it was called Brooks Academy or something like that. It was a Christian school, homeschool. They would send you your books, and you would do it at your pace. So I ended up getting out of school when I was 13 because I was touring, and the it's cool and it sucks at the same time, because the cool part about it is that now I don't have to be in public school. I can, I can go tour and everything. But now it's like, okay, well, you got to be responsible and do your work. Well, me being me at the time was I didn't do my work. You know what I mean? I would sleep
you're a kid. You're like, I'm
all
tired.
hours. Yeah, I would sleep all hours of the day and I would stay up all night, and I wouldn't do it. And at that time, that's when my mom and dad would get pissed off at me, is because they would be like, you need to do your work or we're going to pull you from playing. And, you know, and the sucky part, and I say it now because I wish I would have done things different, but you live and you learn. So by the time I knew it, bro, I was already 18 and I didn't even do no work. So it was like I just kind of stopped and just kept. I mean, I was like, I was working. You know what I mean? I was on the road touring and doing my thing. And my mom, she wasn't. I mean, she still had my back. She was a little upset, but my dad was very upset because he felt, like I said, that music's not going to do nothing for me. I need my education, and that was that. But my mom ran
She
the
was still
show,
upset,
so
but she still supported you.
yeah, she still supported me, and so yeah, man, I did that uh, with excellent, and that was through basically my school years were through Excelencia, like when I started touring with them when I was 13
So you
till I left
6
till I
years,
was 19 years old.
6 years around there. Yeah, 13.
Yeah, and it was, dude, and it was a blast. And I'll tell you one thing: Excellencia will always hold a special place in my heart because not only is it one of my favorite bands that I looked up to, and then here I was in their band, but being in that band is where I got introduced to my wife, and I've known her that long since I was 14 years old, 15 years old. That's how long I've known her. I met her then. She met me. I had no tattoos. I had no earrings. Well, I had earrings, but I didn't have like no nose ring, no none of this shit, no crazy hair, no nothing. I was a 14-year-old dude that had big ass loops. It's ears. That was really it. But I've known her that long, so my history with her goes back then. You know what I'm saying?
A long
So
time.
that
Yeah.
yeah. So that right there is a very very important part of my story.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I mean, you met her when you were well, I mean, you both were both kids, you know? It's
Yeah, for sure.
it's nice though to know that, you know, I'm gonna change it up a little bit, but from what we're talking about music, but it's nice to know that you guys have been through probably a bunch of ups and downs, but she's still there with you no matter what, you know? And
Yeah. Well, the
smart.
thing is that we met back then,
Yeah, that's what
but
I'm saying.
we
When you were
yeah
young.
yeah yeah. Well, we didn't get together till 2011 is when we got together, and but it 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 was because of the history that I had with her years ago that we ultimately connected. And obviously, when you're in a relationship, you have your ups and downs and whatever. But she's absolutely the most important person in my entire life. She's my best friend, and even in my career, through all my ups and downs, she's fucking had my back.
Yeah, I think that's very important because nowadays, a lot of people, get married, and when it gets hard, they're gone. The first,
Yeah,
it's very like desechable, very like next basically status right now. Even when you're married, and I think when you decide to get married, is because you're sure about the decision you're taking from that moment
yeah,
forward.
oh, for
If you're
sure.
not married, if you're committing to somebody, they're dedicating your time to you, you know? It's not just like fuck you or that's the way I'm sorry the words, but it's la neta. It's like
Yeah,
you don't waste a person's time because I mean if you're gonna play around, be straightforward. Um at least that's how I feel, and I'm glad that you guys took I mean you met her back then and then you got together, 2011.
yeah,
Is ya llevan un montón de tiempo juntos,
yes, sir.
and the ones and the years to come. So once you were in Excelencia, what was next after that? I mean, how did the what was your next? When you closed that chapter in your life, what was the next chapter?
When I quit Excelencia in
You
1999,
you left.
that's what it. Yeah, I left the band. It's because yeah, towards the maybe the last 3 months of the band, or the last 3 months that I was there was a point in time where our leader, for whatever reason, he fired all our road crew. We had no more road crew, and he would tell us like, well, we don't have no more roadies. So, and we had a big old bobtail a truck full of equipment. So he would tell us, like, we all can help set up and we all can help load down or unload, digo. And he's like, I'll pay you extra for doing that. Okay, cool, that's fine. Hey, whatever. So we did it, and we never got paid for it, and it started becoming not fun anymore. And I told my mom, actually, she's the one that I told, that I was like, man, mom, I'm not feeling this. Like, you know, I don't want to be in the band anymore. She goes, well, if you're not happy, then you know you should just get out. So at the time, my friend Carlos, because remember I told you Carlos plays,
Yeah,
he
long
plays a part in my
path.
journey
Yeah.
through all this time. Carlos and I started talking about putting a band together. See, let's rewind. When we started touring with Selena, right? Back in the day, Mr. Quintanilla, he wanted to change the band name from Carlos Miranda Jr. and the Boys to Carlos Miranda Jr. y Grupo Metal. That's that came from Mr. Quintanilla. Like, he didn't want the Boys in there. He wanted Grupo Metal, like Carlos Miranda Jr. y Grupo Metal. So that's what we were named. That was our name in '91. That he gave us that name. So fast forward to '99, when I had gotten out of Excelencia, Carlos is telling me, because Carlos Miranda is my oldest friend. He's the one person that I've known the longest out of anybody other than my mom and dad and my siblings. And I remember him telling me that he wanted to put a band together, but a band that played rock en español, like that played Maná, that played Enanitos Verdes, Hombres G, Soda Stereo, all that type of shit. And I didn't know any of those bands except for Maná. I knew who Maná was, but I didn't know, the deep ones like Enanitos Verdes. I didn't know who Hombres G were. I didn't know La
Tacuba,
Ley.
the Café
Yeah,
Tacuba already run?
yeah, Café Tacuba. I didn't know any of those guys. I just knew who Maná was. So he wanted to start this band, and he was like, well, we'll call it Metal. And I was like, all right, that's fine. That'll work. So it was me on drums. It was Carlos, the singer. Our friend Rudy Martinez plays bass, who actually, back in the day, he was a bass player for La Mafia when La Mafia was at the time doing it enormous. And Rudy went back to La Mafia recently, so he still plays with La Mafia to this day. It was Rudy on bass, and then our friend Adam Vargas was on guitar. So it was us four, the original members of Metal, the rock en español version. And so we started playing locally in San Antonio, and that lasted for maybe about a year, because my buddies that I actually toured with Excelencia at the time, they started their own Tejano band in Houston. They moved to Houston, and they started a band called Mítico. And Mítico was a band it was a Tejano band, or they were considered grupero at the time. They were considered grupero, and the style of music was like La Mafia. Like, the cumbias were slow. They had that brass, that synth sound. The rancheras, it sounded like La Mafia. But at that time, you're talking the year 2000, La Mafia was doing a bunch of pop stuff. They weren't really recording Tejano stuff anymore. So it's like we were the ones flying that flag. So I ended up leaving Metal to join Mítico. So I moved to Houston, and I'm with this band, and we start working. We already automatically we started working on a record, an album. We recorded an album, and we toured in Houston. We would play in Houston, and then we would go like to Fort Worth, Texas, or we would go to Dallas, Texas. or we'd go to San Antonio, Texas, and back to Houston. And then de repente, we started doing some shows with Pesado, opening up for Pesado. So they took us to Monterrey. So now Mítico was going to Monterrey. And if you go to YouTube, type Grupo Mítico, you'll hear the music, you'll see some of the music videos. And it was a lot of fun being in that band. But that band, it lasted for like 2 years. And then we had broncas, not broncas, but our lead vocalist at the time, he didn't want to do it anymore. So he decided to stop. So he got out of the band, and we were going to actually look for a new vocalist. And it's so funny because this is how crazy things work. Our singer got out, let's say on Sunday, right? Let's just say he got out on,
Yeah.
he told us on Sunday, I quit. I don't want to be in the band anymore. Okay, está bueno. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I get a phone call from who? From Carlos.
Again.
Carlos calls me again. And he's like, hey, what's up, bro? What's going on? Y la chingada. Nothing much, man. He's asking about the band. I'm like, no, dude, we just lost our singer. I don't even know if the band was going to continue anymore. Yada, yada, yada. He goes, oh, so you're not playing with them? I'm like, well, now we don't have no gigs. You know, we're not going to play. He goes, you want to jam tomorrow? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I have gigs, because he still continued with metal, doing the Spanish rock thing. And I was like, sure. So sure enough, dude, the next day I went with him to play in San Antonio at a club called Tequila Republic. And it was all it was all like fresa, on like that type of people from
Yeah,
Mexico, Mexico City, that loved all that rock and español stuff. You know what I mean?
like people that hung out with people that like pop at that time.
Yeah, exactly. So I start playing with him. Like 3 days later, after the freaking singer left of Mítico, and so we start. And the thing about metal at the time, they were playing Wednesday night in San Antonio, Thursday night in Eagle Pass, Texas, and then Friday night in San Antonio. So already that week I had 3 shows already. You know what I mean? So and we're still playing the Maná songs, we're playing the Enanitos Verdes, we're playing Caifanes, all that stuff. And so little by little, bro, it kind of starts picking up more and more and more. And then by the time you knew it, uh we we would play all these small little clubs in San Antonio, right? Well, there was this one place there that Carlos had took me to. He goes, hey man, I want to show you this place that's here in town where they have bands at. And I'm like, okay. So we go to this place called Madison Avenue. That was the name of the bar. And dude, it was set up for a band. Like it had a big stage, it had a badass light show. And that day there was a rock band playing. They were called Dragonfly, was the name of the rock band. And I remember we went outside. I mean, we got off the car and it had big ass windows so you could look inside the club, look inside the bar. But we didn't go inside. It was too packed. There were so many people in there, but you could see the stage and the light show. And I was like, dang. And I asked him, like, can we, why don't we play here? And he goes, they don't want to mess with Latinos. They don't want to fuck with Latinos. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So we continued doing the small bars there in San Antonio, right? Well, there was this one girl that was a friend of Carlos's that became the promoter for Madison Avenue. And Carlos told her, like, hey, try to get us in there, And she's like, they don't want to fuck with Mexicanos. Like they just don't.
Yeah, they had a
And he
different.
goes, yeah, they had a different crowd. Like they were catering to more, they would have acoustic band or acoustic guys, and then they would have rock cover band. Well, finally she was able to convince them, but they said, okay, we'll try it, but we're only going to give you a Tuesday. So we're like, a Tuesday?
Like, what the heck?
Like, who the fuck goes out on a Tuesday? You know what I mean? Like, are you serious? But nevertheless, we got our foot in the door, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we were excited that we were finally gonna play at this place. And the day of the gig, we go set up and play the gig, and there was like, I don't know, maybe 30 people in there, and this place could hold about 350. I mean, it was a nice place,
They
and
had a nice
but
setup.
you had a nice setup, and we were there on stage, bro, and the pinche lights chingas, and nobody was out there, but we were doing it. So the cool thing about it is that they stuck with us. The owners, they stuck with us, and we I remember we played the first gig that we played there, if I'm not mistaken, was December the 10th of 2003, and we started playing every Tuesday, bro. And like, if we played the first Tuesday, there was 30 people. The following Tuesday, there was like 33 people. And then the following Tuesday, there was like 35 people. And like, it was just like, it took a while. It took about 6 months. And then all of a sudden, bro, we showed up to play one night, and it
Boom.
was hasta la madre in there. And it was like, what? I mean, it was like, wow, like this was,
I
and
thought
mind
you were
you,
like, what the fuck is going on?
yeah. And mind you, we still played Wednesday at the small club. We still played Thursday at Eagle Pass. And we still played Friday at that other small club there in San Antonio. And we went and played the following Tuesday, and it was packed again. And then we went and played the following Tuesday, and it was packed again. Then it started getting so packed that there was a line of people to get in. Like when we would show up for the gig, there would be a line of people outside waiting to get in. And you would think, bro, that we were some famous touring band touring the world. No, man, we're just fucking cover band playing Maná songs and Juanes songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it became the place to be on a Tuesday. Well, the owners decided, well, you know what? Let's try Saturday. So we played Tuesday, and then announced that we were going to be coming on Saturdays. So now we were playing Tuesdays and Saturdays there, bro. And it was packed every night. Like every night that those 2 nights that we would play, it was hasta la madre of people. And until finally, maybe about a year after that, we actually had a meeting with the um, the owners, and because we were still playing on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, we would still play little clubs in San Antonio, or we would still go out of town to like Austin. But we would do Madison Avenue on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and then Wednesdays we'd go to Tequila Republic there in San Antonio. Thursday we would go to Eagle Pass, or we would go to Austin. But we were still doing the same circuit until finally the owners were like, look, let's make a deal. So they wanted us to now be only exclusive at their club. So they were going to have us there Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, but we could not play nowhere else in San Antonio. Like if we wanted to play Friday in Austin or out of town, that was okay, but we could not play nowhere else in San Antonio except for there. So we did, and they bumped us. They gave us a raise, bro. So we're making badass money locally and playing covers. So we did that for shit, man, 3 years, and it was a lot of fun. And then AB calls me. AB Quintanilla calls me. And here's the funny thing: when AB started Kumbia Kings in '97, when he was going to get back into the music, when he was getting back into the flow after everything happened with his sister, he had called me and told me that he was gonna get back into music again. Because of course, I've known them since when we were opening up for them when I was a kid. And so he had called me, and he was going to get back into music, and that if I was interested in joining his band, that he was going to call the band the Cumbia Kings. And at the time, I was playing with Excelencia. So he was kind of like introducing me to the idea of him starting a band, and he wanted me to be the drummer. Well, I guess in the moment I didn't see what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Like
you
I didn't.
vision.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool, man, and but I never stayed. I never
You're like,
continued.
"Whatever." Like, you just
Yeah,
it stayed at the top. Yeah.
yeah, I stayed with Excelencia, and every now and again, bro, throughout the years, he would call me. Like he must have called me. Like it had to have been like 9 times throughout the years. He called me to join the band, and every single time I said either no or it just didn't work out. Well, just this one particular time he calls me, and I'll never forget because my phone rang and it was a 956 number, and I didn't know who that was. I didn't answer it, and it called me back again, and I was like, maybe I should answer it. So I answered it, and it was AB, and he asked me to join the band again, and I said yes. So I ended up leaving Metal to hook up with AB, and joining AB's band changed my life.
At this point, do you remember what album they had recorded? Because, I mean, you know, I'm just right now I'm a point blank blink because
Yeah, right.
like
And when I joined the band,
year
Dulcinea
was it?
had just came out.
What year was it?
This is 2005.
And the album you said that which one had came out?
Fuego. It was the album Fuego,
No,
and Mi Dulcinea had just came out. And Dulcinea is probably the biggest hit in Kumbia King's history. Like that song took Kumbia Kings to freaking stadiums, bro. Like I'm talking 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, like that type of stuff.
like, you know, big stadiums in Mexico because I remember, well, you're saying that you joined after they recorded the Monterrey disco. So I
Uh-huh.
remember that one time, like I'm going back, I was in Miami and I it had just came out. And Cumbia Kings, I remember I bought it because Mi Dulce Niña, I think the part of the disco had been out, but I saw Mi Dulce Niña like 2 days before in this small little restaurant. I nunca se me olvida in Florida. We were touring over there, and I saw Mi Dulce Niña. It had just came out. It was fresh. It was I think in Banda Max or something like that. We were in this little restaurant. I remember, and the TV was like in the corner. Y la miré y dije, the first thing I thought it was a girl, to be honest. You know, I think a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
thought that at the beginning. And I was like, the heck? They have a girl? You know, at first because the voices was so high pitched, you know,
yeah.
and I was like, it sounds different. And then, you know, it happens that we went to Miami. The guys went to what is that? Mangos or I don't can't remember the fucking
Oh,
place.
I know what you're talking about.
I
It's called Mangos.
I think
Yeah,
and the girls were
I
dancing.
think it was South Beach.
Yeah, and the girls were dancing there with freaking underwear, and I was like, and we were, I was small, bro. I was like freaking at that time I was 12 when I was with that band, and I was like, they're like, you guys can't come in, you gotta be 18. So I mean, obviously, so I walked to this. I remember Los Discos, the CDs were still a thing, and I walked to the corner. I remember this fucking little store, and I bought that live album from Monterrey, and then from there, bro, I started being a fan. I remember that live album, lo escuchamos tanto, we heard it so much. All the guys that we freaking scratched the fucking DVD and the fucking disc because it was like we were like I was a big fan, you know, hasta día, I think, I mean, like, fuck, bro, like, I think that if Cumbia Kings ever would have like a lineup again or come back like Cumbia Kings, bro, like if you were there, bro, yeah, like, es que me the style, bro, it was just different, bro, you know, it's
Yeah,
something that I think it's something that there isn't right now in the industry, you know, like a lot of cumbias, because a lot, you know, norteño or whatever banda, it's there, it's always been there, but like the style that Cumbia Kings brought in, I feel like it was something different, you know, algo que people, you know, not only old people liked it, but well, at that time, I feel like very young people were following you guys, you know, at that point, because it was like a very upbeat music. I feel like it was.
yeah.
So
It
one
was it was it was a game. It was definitely AB knew exactly what he was doing when he started Kumbia Kings. His
when
vision of that band was he like nobody was doing that at the time, bro. Nobody. Hasta la fecha, like it's unfortunate how things ended up being where now AB has his own band, Cruz has his own band, and DJ Kane and all the other original members have their own band. Pee Wee's a solo artist. Like it's unfortunate that it is what it is. But when we were all together, it was magic, bro.
I feel like I mean I was sorry I was trying to interrupt you before, but it wasn't my intention. Um, I feel like when you get certain people in a certain cuadro, what I mean is in a certain band, and it's like that cuadro, it's like this happens, bro. It's like when you have a
Yeah,
car, bro. You don't have the fucking transmission. It's not gonna work. You don't have your battery. It's not gonna work. You don't have your tires or your brakes. It's not gonna go. I know it's a weird comparison, but it's kind of similar because you guys all have to be in the same page and you guys all have to click.
it's all about chemistry,
Yeah,
because even if you have a group of guys that are a bunch of bad dudes that you can have a band, bro, with
the best musicians.
the best musicians, but if there's no chemistry, no va a jalar. You know
Ye-
what I mean?
Yeah, I know what
That's
you mean.
very important because chemistry is that special spark, bro, that separates or that makes everybody or that makes that group different from the rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
bro.
very important.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, I only had probably like two bands in the whole time I've been playing that I felt that chemistry. Like you don't even practice, you get to practice and you're like, okay, yes. I mean, I usually like I record, so I tell them, okay, what is it like 4x4 or 3x4, 2x4? Tell me the
Yeah.
beat, like and they'll be like, okay, 3x4, 4x4, lo que sea. And we'll start playing, and I remember that this norteño band from Fresno, we started playing, bro. We had never practiced. We start playing and it clicks, bro. I was
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like, bro, like I was like, I saw the bass player, porque el bass, see, if the bass and drums are not tight, no hay nada. So I
No,
was like,
sir.
fuck, I see this kid playing. He's 17-year-old at that time, and I seen him fucking playing like fucking jamming, bro, like doing all this fucking crazy scales on the fucking bass, and I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like I felt like, click. And that's awesome when that happens, bro, because se refleja or reflect on your stage, bro, because you'll see
Oh,
that
big time,
happiness,
man.
bro. I feel like when there's that click, like you're not even thinking about how much money you're winning. You're not even thinking where you're going, how you're going there. If you have to freaking drive wherever, you just fucking get there and fucking play, bro.
Yeah. And you know what? And I can honestly tell you that the bands that I've been in, that I've been a part of, and even some of the ones that I've actually like filled in for, I've been very fortunate to play with some guys that our chemistry has just been in sync, bro. Like big time, man. And it's like where it just works. You know what I mean? It just works. And that's pretty badass to have under your belt.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important, like you said again. And you lived all that Cumbia Kings, you were there for how many years with Cumbia Kings?
Man, I was with AB till 2011. And the thing is that it started to suck because we stopped touring a lot. Like in 2010, we did like 11 shows in the whole year, and that's, I mean, you can't survive, you can't live like that.
Yes,
Like, I mean, you
too
you
low.
can't. And me at the time, it's like that's all I was doing, and I'm like, I need to work, I need to make money, like I need to do that. And so I was like kind of bummed. And one of my best friend, Lalito Reina, He's a drummer. We've been best friends since we were 13 years old. Lalo, who he actually plays drums with his wife, Elida right now.
I know.
And yeah, so Lalo, I would tell him, like I would vent to him at the time, like, man, it sucks. Like, we're not working. And, when he would go on tour and I wasn't working that weekend or whatever, he would always tell me, well, come with us, just come with us and, come hang out. So I would go on the road with him just to hang out. And well, I'm there with my best friend and all the guys in this band were like my camaradas and we're all friends. And I would just be like, man, like, we're not working and this sucks. And I want, I need to make some money. And, this is all I know how to do. And yada, yada, yada. Y de repente, one day, I was on my way to San Antonio and he calls me and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing, man. What's up? He goes, oh, nothing. I'm just here chilling. He goes, hey, I got a question. I'm like, okay. He goes, would you ever consider playing drums with Siggno? And I was like, with who? He goes, with Siggno. And I was like, Siggno? I'm like, oh, that's Turner's band, right? I was like, yeah. And I was like, why? What's going on? So Lalo's telling me that they had a falling out with their drummer just either a day or two prior to this phone call. And I remember Lalo, when I would tell him about not working and man, we're not working, he would always tell me, man, Signal, they're working or Jesse's band is working. They stay pretty busy because they were on the same label. Signal and Elida were on the same label. And I was like, okay, so that's how I would hear, that they were always working. So he called me and asked me that. And I was like, at that time, bro, I was like, sure, fuck it, whatever. I just want to jam,
Yeah,
make some money.
some money. Yeah.
So maybe a couple days later, me habla Jesse Turner. He calls me and what's up, man? Hey, what's up, bro? And I had seen him, throughout the years. Actually, we had did this gig with AB back in 2008, where we did this battle against La Mafia. It was AB against La Mafia, and we did this big concert in Robstown, Texas. And AB actually invited Turner to come and sing a song that AB wrote for David Ligarza y los Musicales. We played it and Turner sang. But I mean, we just, at that time, it was just like, hey, what's up, bro? And he was a fan. I remember playing that night at the concert and I remember hearing, hey, and I'm like, I turned and he was like literally right here where this drum's at. He was down here with his camera. It's like, hey, throw the stick in the air. Like, cause that's what I do. I throw the stick in the air or whatever. So I was throwing it. He was filming me right there with his phone. And I mean, that was like really the last time that I saw him. So he calls me on the phone and we start talking. What's up, man? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Just kind of catching up, And then he told me what was going on with his drummer or that they had a falling out with his drummer. And, he ended up quitting or he got fired. I don't remember exactly what it was. And they brought in another guy, but that guy wasn't going to work out. And then he goes, what do you think? Oh, no, I'm lying. I remember him telling me that the guy they had wasn't going to work out. And I was like, okay. I was like, and I remember like the conversation was just like, man, damn. And then he goes, hey, so what are you doing this week? And I was like, nothing. Why? What's up? He goes, you want to help us out? And I'm like, what do you mean? So they were playing. This was in 2010, in December of 2010. It was Signal's last two shows of the year. And it was on December 23rd and on Christmas. Well, we talked that Monday, and when he had called me and we were talking, and he said, "What are you doing, this week or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, what's up?" He goes, "You want to help us out?" I'm like, "You're gigging?" He's like, "Yeah, we're playing in Corpus Christi on the 23rd, and we're playing in Laredo on Christmas." And I was like, "Man, like I don't know." And he goes, "Come on, man, you
Business.
could do it. Like you could do it. I know you can do it." And I was like, you know what? está bueno. I told him, send me the songs. He's like, okay. So when we got off the phone, maybe about 30 minutes later, he sends me a set list of like 30 songs, bro. And I was looking at the set list and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you
Like
know.
I knew like two or three songs that were on the set, and those two or three songs were cover songs. They weren't even Signal songs. They were like cover songs that they would play. And I was like, oh my God. So I immediately started doing my homework and started studying their music. And I went to go to rehearse. Mind you, this was on Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I go to Corpus because Jesse was living in Corpus at the time, Corpus Christi, Texas. So, and we were playing in Corpus the next day, that Thursday. So I went to Corpus to rehearse. And I get there and he goes, did you go over the songs? I was like, yeah, I went over the songs. I made some notes and stuff like that. He goes, well, we kind of play the songs different live. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, you'll get it. And I'm like, oh my God. So I remember getting to his house and setting up the drums in his kitchen or whatever. And we were just, okay, let's see what happens. And the rehearsal, bro, let me tell you, the fucking rehearsal sucked. Dia madre. Like every single song sounded like shit. I
Everybody
was
says the
trying
same thing.
I was trying to cram so much information in that moment. And it was not happening. It sounded ugly. And I'm sure they were frustrated because I wasn't getting it. And I was frustrated because I wasn't getting it. Like it's not so much not getting it, but it's like when you don't know something, it's like you're trying to figure it out on the fly. And I'm just like, ah. So then I remember we probably rehearsed for about a couple of hours and it was just bad. It was not good at all. So Turner said, well, you know what? We can go over the songs tomorrow at sound check. I said, okay. So yeah, we took the drums down, la madre. I remember I went to sleep and I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, that was a disaster. It was a mess. So the next day, we're playing in Corpus, and at sound check, again, bro, we go set up the drums and they're putting up the production at this club, and they give me the in-ears, the in-ear monitors and stuff. So he had a talkback mic. So he's like, can you hear me? I'm like, yeah, I can hear you. And he goes, okay, we're gonna go over this song. We started playing it. It sounded like shit. Again, we started playing another song. Sucked. It just wasn't. It wasn't working, bro. And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, God, this is gonna be a fucking disaster tonight. So he tells me, he goes, look, because he has a talkback mic. I could hear him in my ears. He goes, look, I'll help you with the songs, the starts, the stops. I'll come to the mic and tell you, or I'll remind you how they start, what the count is, whatever. I said, okay, cool. So I remember getting ready, bro, for the gig. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna suck.
You just wanted to be done, yeah.
I didn't even want to play. I was like, oh, why did I agree to this? And we get there to the place, bro, and it was packed in this club. And I was like, son of a bitch. So they had an intro, and he goes, the intro's gonna start, and I'll tell you when to go on stage. I said, okay, cool. So the first song we were playing was the first song of the night was Mejor Dímelo. So the intro's on and everybody's screaming, and I'm just there like, fuck, this is gonna suck. So he goes, all right, let's go. So we all get on stage. I get behind the drums as I am. I put my in-ears on. He goes to the intro's still on. He goes to the talkback mic and he goes, hey, it's Mejor Dímelo. Remember. I'm like, okay. So when the intro stops, he kicks into it. Bro, something just happened. And it's like we just fucking clicked. And that show, of course, I mean, obviously it's my first gig with them,
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple
but
mistakes.
bro, that gig was fucking awesome. Like it just sounded so good.
You were saying that that night it
Yeah, the night of the gig, when the intro started and I got behind the drums and Turner was telling me some, notes through the talkback. He goes, it's mejor dímelo, start like this, yada yada yada. And as soon as the intro stopped and he kicked in with the accordion, the intro, and we started playing, it's like we just fucking gelled, bro. Like something magically happened, and it was a kick-ass show. Like it sounded like I had been there all along, and everybody noticed it. And it was badass. So then I go home, and then I got to go back and play the second gig with him that Saturday in Laredo. So I go to Laredo and the same thing, bro. Same thing. We get on stage and we play, and everybody's looking at us like. I remember we opened up for Solido that day, and mind you, I wasn't in the band. I was just helping them out. I was still playing with AB. I was still a member of AB's band, and so I remember us kicking in, and dude, it just sounded so freaking so good, so groovy, and so solid. Like it Signal never they hadn't they sounded a different way before I was in their band. And then it's like I joined the band and it just got heavy, solid, and more aggressive, more in your face. Like it was awesome, bro. So that night that we played in Casablanca in Laredo, Texas, is when they actually offered me the job if I wanted to be the drummer of the band. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm down. I said, but I'm not gonna dress like that.
where
And
did
they were like,
dressing
like,
the cowboy hat?
like the cowboy hat and all that shit. And they were like, he was like, what's wrong with that? Or what? Oh, no, he goes, what's wrong with the way we dress? I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, it's just not me, bro. I said, I have an image that the AB helped me build, yada yada yada. And he just basically told me, he's like, you know what? Do whatever you want. Like he didn't even they didn't even believe that I would join the band because to them, bro, I was up here, you know, like they were a fan of mine. And when they offered me the job, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it," they didn't. They were like, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down." So they didn't believe me, you know.
They thought you were
So
probably joking or something.
so, so when I said yes and whatever, I just said, "Look, I have to do a few shows with AB, so don't say nothing." And then when those shows are over, I'm here 100%. And that led to 8 years, 6 albums, and in 8 years with Siggno.
Yeah,
Man, it was a good time, man. We because I like to feel, especially with Siggno, like with when I joined AB's band, they were already big. See, the Kumbia Kings, Kumbia All Stars, they were already huge. You know, I didn't join the band in '97 when they first started. No, I got in there when they were already enormously famous. With Signal, I was there when we were doing this. You know what I mean?
but
And through all the good times, through all the bad times, and experiencing being, dude. I remember going and playing Houston for the first time. We played at a place called Frontera Bar, and it's little, bro.
so you
Okay.
guys were playing there at the small hall.
Oh yeah, we were at the Frontera in Houston, and we would probably, I mean, it would get packed. Don't get me wrong, we would draw a crowd, but that place maybe 400 people fit in there or whatever. And fast forward from 2011 till 2017, we ended up playing at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, the biggest stage in the United States of America, in front of 75,000 people. Like crazy, man. Like we grew together. Uh, obviously when I joined the band, I was like the outsider, the way that I looked, you know. and little by little, they started transitioning more to my style, started looking a little bit more like me, and then I remember we were in Mexico City and we were about to do this interview, and this guy asked us what kind of band were we. Oh no, si somos rockeros, and we're like, well, no, we're a norteño band. He goes, entonces ustedes son roteño. Like that's where that came from a reporter there in Mexico City, and it was great, man. It was a great time and whatnot. It just unfortunately, I didn't agree with the way the business was being ran, and I mean, well, none of us agreed the way the business was being ran, but I was the one that spoke up about it, and it just, you know, unfortunately, it wasn't fixed. So I made the decision to step away from the band.
Yeah, I think because you were there through the whole, like you said, the crecimiento, the going
Yeah, man.
on the bottom to the top. And I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, what like we say, I think in every band, um, there's always that one thing or one person. I feel like if
Yeah,
those persons, like if I feel that something's not right, I'll speak up, even if that person gets mad. And I'm straightforward. Like a lot of people say, but why are you saying like that blunt? Like why are you so straightforward? Like I don't have no filter, bro. Like if I don't like something, you're gonna know, bro. Like you're
yeah,
tell I'll tell you too. And I think a lot of people at the beginning didn't like it, but then it's just like you can't be fake with somebody if you don't like something. So
yeah.
that it happens in every band. It's nothing uncommon. I just seen the other day, that I know that you and like everybody knows in Turner, got had a little fallout. You guys didn't agree probably in some things, but I saw a
Well,
video.
it didn't have it. To be honest with you, bro, my decision on leaving that band had nothing to do with the band members. It had absolutely nothing to do with the band. It had to do with how that business was being
Right.
ran by the people that were in charge of that. And I was like, I didn't agree, and I spoke up for the band members. And you're talking 2019, so it's 3 years ago. So we're
Was
talking about at that time. And at that time, that's what I did. And I didn't agree. And nobody spoke up about anything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm done. And, because I had found out, you know, it had been a couple of months where we found out that we basically were getting screwed, so to speak. And
was it when
you're
you
being,
put the label in Mexico a little bit?
I don't know, no, um, no, it's just we found out just things that were happening, and I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't even the one that brought it up.
Was
I was the one that stood up for it after the fact. But the initial thing, it wasn't even me. They were telling me what was going on, and I'm like, what? And I decided to just bring it up, and
mm,
I didn't agree. I didn't agree with the business part of it, and I walked away. And again, I didn't have I had nothing against the band, whatsoever. I had nothing against the band. It's just unfortunate that things took a sour turn through social media and this and that, blah blah blah,
yeah,
and then
because I remember.
it became back a war of words and
I think
all that stuff.
so sorry that I interrupt you, but I think social media nowadays, like most of the people that interview, they try to turn words, like
Oh yeah,
let's say like me, I will take a little part from here and then turn it into this and turn it to another fucking whole issue that it shouldn't happen. I feel like that shit's like you shitty shit that shouldn't happen, you know. But it's just people that are trying to get clout, you know. Like me, to be honest, can you hear me? Let's see. Could you hear me still?
I can hear you now.
I think hold up, it's coming back. I don't know what's going on. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, aquí nos vamos. So I just think that some people, you know, nowadays in social media try to turn things around, and it sucks, but it's just for the cloud sometimes, you know. I'm not sure if I'm saying
Yeah.
it right. Cloud, mi vieja siempre me regaña. No se dice así, se dice así. But I think they just try to come up, and you know, I think my program at least is not about that. You know, I had to ask it because you know when that happened, I was following you guys like hardcore y por ti, you know, not making anybody else in the band less, but I was like, fuck that drummer. I'm gonna. And when you guys came here to Bakersfield, I had told my you know my wife que va a ser mi wife, ya pues, pero hey, let's go see Siggno. They're coming. And I swear, like after that tocada, like probably a little bit after, you got out. And I was so bummed.
Mm,
I always told her, man, I wanted to see them like jam out, you know, aunque ya no estaba Jacob, you know, porque pues
yeah.
about what happened and stuff. And like the whole story, you know, I always followed you guys since my friend Carmelo, again, coming back to the conversation, presented me and that happened. And I was bummed out, you know, because at that time, todavía estaba Jacob en el bass.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, dude. Like I followed like his story, you know, que Turner no quería que you're the one that brought him in. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Turner no lo quería porque quería que estudiara, and his mom, you know, that lived in Florida, if I'm not wrong. And
Yeah.
um, and I was like, I always told my fiance, like, fuck, I follow them because La Base, like they're fucking tight. Like, and she understands music now because you know, once you're with like a musician, I'm sure your wife understands music now because of you. But she's like, "Yeah, I could hear the bass now, and I could hear the bajo sexto and the accordion and or whatever instruments there, like the guitar." And I always wanted to see you guys jam out, you know, you and Jacob, you know, porque esa base it was just like, oh, like tight, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Entonces, when that happened, like, you know, that they did that whole twist between you and Turner y la chingada, it's sad that some people, you know, take advantage of the situation at moments, you know. Pero
Yeah.
coming back to it, you know, I think last week or whatever, I'm not sure if that's an old video or a recent, but I just seen you jamming out with Turner, you know, I think with something
Yeah.
with the privada or something like that. Private.
Yeah. It's crazy, man, because believe it or not, me and Turner, we reconciled, and I think was it September of last year? A buddy of mine, Gipper, who played accordion with AB. And Gipper, you know, me and him, we toured together the whole time I was with AB. But Gipper also was a friend. Gipper had chingos of friends, and Turner was a friend of Gipper, and you know,
Yeah.
we're all
Everybody
friends.
know everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, Gipper passed away because of COVID last September, and so we were at his funeral, and my wife told me that Turner was there. I didn't see him. I didn't even know he was there, and she had gone to the car to get some water because it was hot. We're outside at the cemetery, and I guess on her way back, she ran into him. He said hello or whatever. And she basically told me, "Hey, I just saw Turner." And I was like, "What? He's here?" She was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, like, if he says hi or whatever, don't be rude or don't start anything. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, this isn't the place. And not only that, my mind is somewhere else because you know we're mourning the loss of one of my
Yeah.
brothers.
I'm sorry for that, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man. And so that night, driving home, she basically she had a talk with me, telling me like, you know, you should just let that go. It's not worth having grudges no more. And look, you just buried your friend, and Do you want to see each other at a funeral? Like, it's just stuff like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
she she made complete sense, bro. So the next day, I I reached out to him and I sent him a text message and I just said thank you for coming to Gipper's funeral. I know he would have appreciated that. I said Starla told me she saw you there, uh, and I said it would have been cool to say what's up. And then I just basically said like, look, man, life's too short, and I don't care about the drama no more. It's not even worth it. You know, you and I did amazing things together, and that's what I want to remember. And plus, he sent me a freaking long ass message back. He was like, "Man, Joey, I've been waiting for this for a long time," and he sent me a long message, and ever since then, we started talking again. Which was good for both of us. And yeah, man. And then de repente, this past Saturday, I was at a baseball game with my wife. We were looking at our nephew in Corpus, and was my phone rang. I had a missed call from Turner, and I was like, "What the hell?" So I called him back. I'm like, "What's up, dude?" He goes, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. We're here in Corpus at a baseball game." He goes, "What are you doing later?" I was like, "Nothing. What's up?" He goes, "Want to jam?" I'm like, "Jam? What do you mean?" He goes, "I have this last minute gig that just popped up there in Kingsville, which Kingsville, Texas is like 25 minutes from where I live." And I was like, "Gee, now, bro." I was like, "Man, I don't have my drums. They're in Pearsall." He goes, you can't find a drum set?" I was like, "Man, let me see what I can do." So I started, I have a friend of mine here in Alice, Texas that I reached out to, and sure enough, he let me use his drums, and I told him, "Okay, I got a drum set. What's the details or what's up?" He goes, "Just meet me in Kingsville by 7, and we'll figure it out." So sure enough, man, I haven't seen him since 2018, since the last gig I played with him. That's the last time I saw him.
What was the last gig?
That was December 29th in Saltillo of 2018. That's the last time that I saw him. And we show up to Kingsville, and I get out of the car, and I see him, and he's like, "Joey," like the next day, bro. Like if 3 years didn't even happen. Like if I just saw him the day before. And I set up my drum. Oh, Robles was there, Ruben Robles, and I see Robles, and we're, "What's up, bro?" and laughing, and it was like the next day, bro, and we play, and we played an hour, and we started jamming, and the songs, I mean, it was just like butter, because I came up with the majority of all those live arrangements. Like all those arrangements you hear Signal, I came up with all those parts. And plus they play a lot of those songs still. So that's how come they still do the same things that I did when I was there. And but now it's actually me doing it, and the groove and everything. We had so much fun, bro. It was such a blast. And that freaking video went crazy. Everybody and their mother started freaking out. And, people were sharing, because after the fact we played, and after we played, we ate dinner, and then we went our separate ways. And after we ate dinner, he goes, "Hey, let's take a picture, Joey." I said, "Okay." So I told my wife, "Take a picture of us also." So we took a picture, and Robles' son took the picture of us three first, and then my wife took the picture of us three. And my wife said, "Here, send this picture to Turner because I saw the other one and it looked a little blurry." I said, "Okay, I'll send it to him." So I sent him the picture, and I was like, "Hey, bro, it was really good to see you, man. I had fun." And he goes, "Bro, it was fucking badass." So, and then everybody and their mother was like, "Oh my God, reunion tour. This is the reunion we've been wanting. Oh my God, are you back? Dude, my phone was going crazy that night. Like everybody and their mother was messaging me. And no mas, it is what it is. It was what it was. And it was a blast. I can say that.
That's good, bro. I think that that's always good. I mean, I had to pass, lo mismo que that you don't agree on certain things with certain people, but then the best part comes when both parties come together, both persons
Yeah.
talk it out, because like it's true, like what your wife said. I mean, it's like holding grudges, bro. It's not good. We don't know when we're not gonna be here. So
Yeah.
I'm happy, dude. Like cuando mire eso, because literally, I think that's the reason I messaged you because I saw you guys in like me and my heart. Like you probably guys don't know me or whatever. I know that apenas te mandé mensaje, but it made me happy, bro. Like I was like, look at está chingón que after everything, you guys came back to the root, fixed everything, talked it out, and you guys at least a lo mejor you guys don't message each other todos los días, pero you guys know that everything's cleared. Y eso está chingón. When I seen that video, I was like, you know what? Let me shoot a message to him because I had you, and I think you had a raffle before the una pila or something, and I didn't think you were gonna answer. To be honest, completely honest, I told my fiance, "Babe, I'm gonna shoot him a message." Para mí, you're like uno de los bateristas. There's a lot of norteños bands, and like no ofendo a nadie. Cada tiene su estilo, pero like you in Texas, like un baterista de Texas, siento que eres una persona que vino a marcar estilo. You came to trajiste algo a lo norteño that other people don't do it still. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it.
Para
Thank
mí,
you, man.
que cuando yo te mandé mensaje and you answered me right when I went to work, I think like at 4 o'clock, uh, 4 something de la mañana of California time. And I was like, when I saw the message, I was like, oh, fuck, he answered me. Like, I saw your message and me emocioné, me puse nervioso, honestly. I was like, fuck, like, when you said, like, let's do it, bro, like, no hesitation. You didn't even watch my channel. I didn't even send you a link. And, but, I have people that are known in the channel, pero in the norteño style, like Sinaloa style and stuff, like Jos Favela and stuff. But I don't want you to know me because of that, bro. I wanted to make sure that it was a genuine thing that was happening.
Well,
Eh,
I appreciate you reaching out, man. I love doing stuff like this.
and I think everybody's gonna appreciate this long because it's we did it. What time is it? I mean, it's 9:17 here in California. It's almost 12 o'clock in Texas. So you staying this late because I know that you probably have to do things tomorrow. It's like I appreciate your time, bro. Like people's time is very valuable, bro. Like you taking your time to answer the message, as to arranging, decir, sabes que, let's do it. And you told me, okay, let's put it at this time or whatever. But I appreciate your time, bro. I can't not stress so much that que valoro tu tiempo, bro. Porque eso el tiempo lo más like it's the most valuable thing that we have in this time. We don't know when we're leaving, and we have to each person come together. I feel like us like a world. I'm talking something different now, but we need to come together. Why? Because hay tanto. There's so much like violence, out there, that we're living now. That I remember that in my time, cuando estaban, you probably lived better times that we're living now, but I'm just saying like it's just crazy that we just should stick together and let not let the grudges, the cositas, little details, todos, las indiferencias, the things that we don't agree, they have a fix, bro. Talk it out, and they'll, eventually, if it's fixable, it's gonna go through. And I'm glad that now, ese aire está, cleared with Turner. It me da gusto, bro. In my heart that at least if anything happened, that we don't want that to happen, that I wouldn't like it to, but you guys are like a gusto, yeah,
Yeah, man.
and
It
that's
feels, and you know what? It's good for the heart. It's good for the soul to have that.
yeah, that's always awesome. Well, I want to, end this podcast, with a little tip that you want to give to the youngsters, que van iniciando in this industry of the music. What would you give like a consejo to other people, not only drummers that are beginning in this beautiful music industry? What would you tell them to like how to go about music when they're beginning and how to not give up in the dream?
I would just tell them, be yourself, man. Be yourself, study your craft, and don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do it. Don't ever give up. I mean, that's it's very important for people to be who they really are and study your craft. And you only get better by playing. And that's whether you're practicing or you're playing, eventually you're gonna get better, for everybody. So I que echar ganas and don't ever give up, man.
That's it. Well, this was Joey Jimenez. Um, Follow him. He tiene mucho que dar todavía, and I know that. I mean, we all want you to see you with Siggno. We all want, but all the fans, because
Say never, right?
I mean, hopefully, un día, y pues si no se da, it's okay. We have that recording. I mean, cuando estaba Jacob todavía y tú. I mean, I always jam to that song, like the whole album. It's just
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing that you guys have. It's there. It's always gonna be there. And like I said, I appreciate your time, bro. And this was Joey Jimenez and Detrás del Artista.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. It ain't over yet.